Hello everyone. Thank you for joining our Digital Innovation Web Clinic series. Let's take a minute for people to join. Just a minute. Hi everyone. My name is Vlad Castillo. I will be moderating today. And with me I have Rick Rude. He will be presenting today. Thank you again so much for joining our Digital Innovation Web Clinic series. We're planning to do a lot of these, a bunch of these, so please just welcome these emails that we will be sending you, and each will have distinct and different topics in regards to anything in digital marketing and analytics in the multi-channel world. There's just so many different areas that we can talk about, and we can start getting into a lot of the content. And today I'm really happy to have Rick to talk about specifically in regards to digital, and in specifically the case study for viewability. And we're going to get started shortly. While we are waiting for more attendees to join, please let us know where you're joining from by entering your location in the chat window. Okay, interesting. It looks like we have some folks joining us from California, Minnesota, New Jersey. All right, my home state. Excellent, excellent. New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Good. Okay, great. It looks like we're getting a bunch of folks joining us, and it looks like different areas across the country, and some actually really interesting in regards to this. I'm really excited, Rick, in regards to what we're getting here. Thank you for the support, everyone. Thank you so much. We're so excited to be talking to you today. The room is actually filling up. We'll get started pretty shortly here. Actually, one of the things I want to mention is during the course of the web clinic, please feel free to submit your questions via the chat window. Please feel comfortable asking any question that you may have. We're going to try to answer all your questions at the end of the web clinic, but just in case we run out of time, we'll send you a follow-up response via email with more information. Your questions are extremely important to us. As I mentioned, this is something that's evolving every day. I mean, digital right now is so different than it was just a year or even a few months ago. Every day we're learning new things, so really providing that information is so important, and any question you may have is extremely important for us. Also, please stay tuned for the end of the call. We will announce an exclusive opportunity at the end of the webinar that can help you in any challenge that you're facing. Okay, so with that, it looks like it's a good time here to get started. With that, I will now pass it along to Rick. Rick.
Thanks, Vlad. Hi, everyone. My name is Rick Rude. I work with the Ensema Group. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about viewability. I'm going to explain what viewability is. I'm going to tell you why viewability is important. I'm going to talk to you about a client-focused approach or case study, and go over a few results and a few key takeaways, and then a little bit about the Ensema Group. So honestly, I'm so excited to talk to you about this. I feel like this is something that, as a collective, we've been wrestling with for over 100 years, even as far back as John Wanamaker. 100 years ago, John Wanamaker said, "Half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is I don't know which half." I feel like I'm continuing to hear this today. They don't know which half is wasted. Are my ads effective? What's going on? The question happens over and over and over. I'm going to tell you right now, we're unveiling this. It's brand new. It's history in the making. And we're going to answer John's question today. So, how many people out there use display banner ads as part of their advertising tactics, or support clients who use display? I would assume that since you're joining our web clinic today, a good portion of you are probably familiar with what display banner ads are and probably use these. See a couple people chiming in via the chat window. That's great. So, what is viewability anyway? Viewability is a process that measures whether or not a display ad is in view on your computer screen of the end user. Currently, we measure display ads by impressions served. And this comes from the ad flighting tool. This is a common yet flawed approach. There are better ways to measure impressions. How do you even know if any of those impressions served were even seen by the end user? You don't, honestly. This is where viewability comes in. Viewability is an online process that tracks if a display banner impression is in view on the user's screen. For example, if you look over to the right at that little graphic over there, you'll see the white box is essentially your browser window. The blue content is essentially the entire web page. The green boxes are the display banner ads that load in view when the page loads. The red boxes are essentially display banner ads that load below the browser window, below the page fold. These red boxes represent display ads that are potentially never in view unless the user scrolls. To put this in context, I also took a look at Yahoo.com to kind of give you a live, real-life example of the same image. So you'll notice the image on the right, it's Yahoo.com. We have this green box. This represents the ad that's loading in view when the page loads. And then we have these red boxes, which represent all the other ads on Yahoo.com that are not in view unless a user scrolls. It's a significant amount of advertising below the page fold there. So the viewability process allows us to track if these ads are in view for a period of time, above the fold or below the fold. Currently, there are viewability standards out there in the mass marketplace that are changing the conversation with publishers like Yahoo and forcing them to increase the potential for ads to be seen. You've probably seen some interesting website developments over the past couple of years. Sites you'd normally go to, look and feel them has changed a little bit, separate it into 3 scrolling verticals. I think this is the results in the effort to keep more ad copy in your face during your browsing experience. So how do we measure viewability? What percentage of ads are even viewable? In order to get there, we have to kind of identify a couple metrics. One of them is impressions served. This is a very common metric, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with it. This is literally how many impressions are recorded via the ad flighting tool from your media agency. So like double click, impression count. This is impressions served. The second part of viewability is impressions measured. Measurable impressions count how many ads are capable of being measured with this new viewability tracking. So currently we can measure JPEGs, GIFs, pings. We can measure video ads. One of the items that's difficult to be measured as of yet are ads that are served inside of a mobile app. The industry at large is working on this. They're hoping to have a resolution for this by 2016. So currently, measurable impressions only accounts for a certain percentage of the ads served. It is a majority percentage. I think it's somewhere in the realms of 70% at this point. The third metric is impressions in view. So impressions in view are, of those measured impressions, how many of those were actually on screen or in view or seen by a user. And this is all based on an IAB standard, by the way. The Interactive Advertising Bureau has set up these standards and has measured this for the web at large. And what they have found is that 46% of ads are viewable out there in the live space. That translates to 54% are not viewable. Let's look at this another way. How do we stop wasting 54% of our digital ad spend on vaporware, essentially? Something that the user never even saw. It loads somewhere, nobody ever sees it, it's not worth anything. So this calls for standards to be put in place. And as I mentioned earlier, the IAB and the Media Rating Council basically work together and set up an industry standard for viewability. This standard calls for 50% of a display ad's pixels to be in view on the screen above the fold for a minimum of 1 second. And for videos, That standard is 50% in view for 2 seconds. Furthermore, if your display campaign does not achieve a 70% viewability threshold for measured impressions, the IAB has stated that publishers will make good with additional viewable impressions until this threshold is met. So this is important. This is not something that NCEMA is stating. This is something that the IAB and the MRC are calling for the industry at large, for all publishers out there that operate in the web space. And you see the footnote at the bottom. You can look up this documentation on the internet. Just look up state of viewability. You'll find the document. So why is viewability important? Viewability helps create standards. It helps improve marketing return on investment. It helps drive significant cost efficiencies for our marketing budgets. In fact, according to Google, users are 21 times more likely to click on viewable ads. This improved the click-through rate over 140% for ads that are in view for 1 or more seconds. That's significant. 140% improvement or optimization on CTR? It's practically unheard of. So we took this information and we worked with one of our clients in the pharmaceutical sector, and we worked with them to implement viewability. So it's really a four-phased approach. The first is the implementation. We set up the viewability platform, and then we approached our media partners, and we gave them a little bit of snippet of code that we then placed on each display ad. And then we asked the media agency to reflect those display ads. The next step is measuring. So we sat back, everything's live, flighted. We sat back, collect some data. After about 2 weeks, we made a startling realization. We learned that only 40% of our pharmaceutical clients' display ads were ever in view or on screen. 40% only. That meant they were wasting 60% of their display marketing budget. More than half, 60% of their budget. It's practically unheard of. So we took this information, we went to the media agency, we worked together, we approached the publishers and said, hey, did you know about viewability? Do you know that there's a standard for viewability that's endorsed by the IAB? How can you work with us to meet this 70% viewability threshold for all of our campaigns? Some publishers were willing to negotiate and make goods, extra impressions to meet that level. Some publishers were not really all that interested. Unfortunately, we optimized out of the ones that were not that interested and worked with the ones that were. So as part of this, we negotiated, cut some make goods, reflighted, sat back and measured. And what we learned after doing this, we were able to improve our clients' viewability rate to 80%, from 40% to 80%. That's a significant jump. And it was way better than the industry average of 42% for the pharmaceutical sector at the time. So, gets us to the results. We increased viewability 100%. When's the last time you saw an optimization improve something 100%? This is an easy low-hanging fruit here. We reduced the cost per click 42%. Imagine that. We reduced the cost per click, the amount you had to spend to get your awareness out there, by 42%. For this particular client, this generated cost efficiencies of $6 million, resulted in $6 million in additional impressions to meet that viewability threshold. Client was extremely happy. The publishers that we worked with became reliable partners and ones we'll work with again in the future. The media agency crushed their goals. 100% increase in viewability. Crushed them. The NCEMA Group was recognized as a trusted analytics advisor. This is a win-win for all parties. This is something that everybody should be looking at and doing. It's a significant opportunity here. So a few key takeaways that you need to be aware of to really let you understand if you need to establish viewability standards for your marketing tactics. One, go look at your publisher websites and see where your display ads are currently being placed. Are they above the fold? Are they below the fold? Can you even find them? Ask your media agency how and if they are tracking viewability. Do they have a process in place? If so, what is your current viewability rate? Furthermore, and lastly, key takeaway, you should contact the NCEMA Group and really ask us for a free consult. We'll come in and review your viewability and understand your issues and offer up ways to improve this process. So this brings us back to good old John and the 100-year-old marketing problem. Problem solved. We figured out the half that was wasted, and we approached the publishers and made make goods. So measuring viewability allowed us to identify which half is wasted and allowed for the optimization of ad placement across publishers. So at this point in time, we've reached the end of our presentation on viewability, Vlad. I know that there were some things you wanted to say.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Rick. I thought that was tremendous. Really tremendous insights. And, we do want to answer any questions that you have at this time. Please go ahead and continue sending questions through the chat window. It looks like we have some already here, but if you have some more, please continue. As a reminder, just feel free to be comfortable in asking just clarifying questions. There's a lot. I know this presentation, especially when it becomes very, very technical, certain situations, it's good to get clarification. We will try to answer them, but in the meantime, I'm talking a little bit about Encima in regards to who we are. So we're the Encima Group. We don't buy media. We don't do creative, right? We don't do creative. We're a business analytics company, and we're focused on basically bringing to clients better data, better insights, and better results. And then, in regards to how we do this, the way we work the analytics is pretty different than what others do. We really work at it from an end-to-end longitudinal analytics perspective. We follow the customer journey in order to improve and find innovative solutions to improve the customer experience and ROI. So that says a lot about what we do. We work in different areas. Digital obviously is one area. Analytics is huge for us in all types of analytics, and then marketing automation. So in regards to this longitudinal analytics, this digital part, specifically the viewability part, and if you ask, how do we improve ROI? How do I improve customer experience? Viewability is definitely a part of that in regards to what you're saying here, Rick. Now, I am going to ask you a few of the questions that we've got here. We got a lot, it looks like. So the first question I'm going to ask is, shouldn't my ad agency be doing this already? What do you think, Rick?
That's
especially
a
the
question.
fact that we don't buy media, right? So shouldn't my ad agency be doing this already?
Long story short, yes, they should.
Okay.
Are they? That's another story. and honestly, that was part of the key takeaways. Go ask your ad agency if they're doing this. Honestly, this is kind of touchy, but it might not be in the best interest of your ad agency to track viewability. Agency partners are usually paid on the total number of impressions flighted or the total number of impressions paid for. Viewability forces your publishers to serve additional impressions as make goods or free in order to improve the viewability rate. So it's a lot of extra effort for the same return for the agency partner.
Right, but if it's, let's say this, obviously there's some ad agencies, like everything, there's some ad agencies who is really, really good in what they do, and others not much. So really it's about transparency, right? Because we have partners who are ad agencies, and we work with them, and they do
Agreed.
Tremendous work in regards to
Agreed.
this.
I mean, so it's about having a conversation with your partners and understanding what they do, and even if they know what it is. If they don't know what it is, you might want to go look at another agency. But
that's right. Okay.
honestly, this is something they should be doing. It's in the fiduciary duty of the client. You need to make this happen. Have a conversation.
Okay. Here's another one. Which ad types work best in terms of viewability? Ad types.
Ad types. I'm assuming maybe you're talking about maybe is it a JPEG or a video or a mobile app, and I kind of alluded to that earlier. But essentially the ones we can measure are the ones that I guess work best for viewability. So our standard JPEGs, PNGs, GIFs, and videos, of course, but things served in-app are not able to be tracked yet in a mobile app, so the industry is still working on that. The other side of that maybe is ad placement, I'm thinking could be another way to answer this question. So maybe where's the optimal placement for my ads so they're most viewable? And in that case, I would say I'm not too keen on ads at the header. So we measured placement, and we could tell you which ads are more viewable based on this tracking stuff that we put on there. And what we found was those ads in the header, the ones that are at the top of the page when it load, don't have a very high viewability rate. And what we assumed was it's because people scroll a little bit immediately on hitting the site so they can get to the content. Conversely, those ads placed in the footer have a terrible viewable rate. They're all the way at the bottom of the page. Nobody ever scrolls to the bottom of the page. So what we honestly found was those contextual ads are those ads that are in line with the main content, the main body of the website. Those ads have the highest viewability rate. And it kind of makes sense if you think about it, because people are going to that site to read that content.
Right.
Stuff at the top and the bottom, it's kind of fluff.
Okay.
Hope that helps.
That sounds good. Here's another one here. Where does Encima fit in? So for this one, I'm going to take, if you can go to the next slide. Is it just for this one, I'm going to take sort of the first part in terms of the business model, and then you can take sort of the, how it works with all the different partners.
Fit into the viewability process kind of
yes,
thing?
exactly.
Okay.
So for from a business model perspective, Encima fits in, depending on your organization, we would fit in within the marketing area, within the marketing space, really focusing on optimizing and helping to improve ROI and customer experience within your marketing area.
The execution people, essentially.
Exactly. Or we can fit in the center of excellence. If, for example, there's a lot of companies that are doing these center of excellences now that are focusing on analytics or digital or multi-channel marketing. We would fit into one of those areas. And also, we also fit into sometimes into the IT area or somewhere in between. But that's how we fit in from a business model perspective, really providing third-party help and consultation in regards to expertise in terms of connecting these different areas. I mentioned, the customer journey. Yeah, there's sub-customer journeys. One of those journeys obviously is in viewability, right? What happens in display media. But if you think about it, there's tons of these sub-customer journeys, and what we help do is we help connect those journeys and look for leakages and try to improve the leakages, sort of like what you just did, Rick, with in regards to viewability. Now, from a day-to-day perspective and working with agencies, obviously there's different partners that work in the area.
There's some politics there.
Right, so how does it work with Encima there in terms of the fit? How does Encima fit into that?
In the trenches, Encima fits in. We essentially collaborate cross partners, and the partners are internal and external. So you have your client internal constituents, like you said, IT, the brand team, the IT team, the center of excellence team, and then we have all of our vendor partners who are external. So you have like the media agency, the analytics group, the
market
SEO
research
group, market research, etc.
Procurement.
So
all of those,
we kind of look at ourselves as like a cross-functional base. We're going to sit in the middle and understand all the various needs from the various groups and make sure that we're doing things in the best interest of the client ultimately. Is this driving the needle? Is this improving the bottom line?
Okay.
And we're going to call out things that might not be perfect and bring those to light, but with the sense of viewability, we had to push on this with this particular client. There was some pushback from the vendor partner at first, and we didn't really want to go down the road of doing viewability, but we did some research on it. This is about a year ago now, so we did some research about it and provided a point of view, a POV to the client, and a decision was made to pilot it, test it out.
Okay.
The pilot worked really well.
So here's another one. I work in financial services. Is there a difference between that and other industries regarding viewability?
I don't think it's a matter of industries. Like, it's probably a matter of what your marketing mix is. Like, if you have display banner ads as part of your marketing mix, I don't think it matters what industry you're in. Mm-hmm. We can track viewability on any partner site. It all comes down to a little bit of technology, a little snippet of code that we're going to place on these display ads, and then we turn the platform on and measure. So if you're serving display ads, no matter on what site, we can track it. Like I said, the one caveat there is inside of a mobile app. Still working that out a little bit. It's a slightly different serving process, but the IAB is working on that, and they're hoping to have something out by 2016.
Okay. Here's another one. We don't spend a lot of money on display advertising. Does viewability matter? Does actual viewability matter for us? Yeah, that's a good
I don't
question.
think it matters if you're spending $1,000 or $10 million. I think viewability is important no matter what. Your budget might be small, but if you're still wasting half your budget, you're wasting half your budget. It's a rate. It doesn't matter. So, long story short, I think yes, viewability is important and it matters no matter what your budget is. I hope that helps.
It does. It does. Here's another one. How do we start viewability? Don't know where to start.
So essentially, that comes down to working with a consultancy group like Encima, or approaching your media agency directly and asking them about it. Hopefully, they've worked on this in the past, so they have the skill sets to set it up. And then it becomes a matter of negotiating with your publisher partners to improve the rate. And usually there might be a little drawback with negotiating with the publisher partners, and you kind of have to know the right buttons to push on to get the desired result. But that's where kind of working with an agency that has the experience in this process kind of pays for itself.
Okay. And earlier you mentioned about, there's a few more here, but it looks like in terms of time, earlier you mentioned about an exclusive opportunity. What is that about?
Oh,
right?
okay. So earlier we talked about the exclusive opportunity, and I just want to say that usually when people engage with us, we do a discovery process to understand what's working, what's not working in our ecosystem, and spot out areas to remediate. This is usually a paid service. I just want to say, as a part of like a value add to our web clinic series, we're going to give the first 5 people that reach out to us, send me an email, rroot@encimagroup.com. First 5 people that reach out to me will get a free discovery, and we'll go from there.
That sounds real good. That sounds real good. It looks like we have a few more questions that came in. Where does the creative agency fit in to this?
Well, so the creative agency basically designs the ads, and then those ads are usually handed off to a group to add some sort of tracking to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that tracking is added to the creative asset, it's given to the media agency to flight. So they're at the very beginning of this process, probably not as impacted by viewability, because viewability is more about I'm serving the ad in a live space as opposed to creating the visual. Obviously, though, you want to measure which creative versions are doing well in the marketplace and optimize, and maybe certain looks of certain creatives will work better than others, but that's not dependent on whether they scroll up or down, I don't think. Obviously, though, make them as engaging as possible just to continue innovation.
Here's another one, and this will be the last one because we have a bunch of them here. We will get back to you guys on this, but this one is an interesting one. We're about to launch in 1 month. Our brand will launch in 1 month. Should we concern ourselves about viewability?
So the brand's launching, I'm assuming, a website and a marketing campaign. I'm going to assume you're launching a marketing campaign. I don't know. But yes, you should be concerned about viewability. And you have a whole month to get the process in place. There's a couple steps you have to go through, some hurdles and negotiating some vendor relationships and getting the platform. So I would say 30 days is more than enough time to get that set up, but you should act now before it's too late.
Okay, Rick, thanks so much. It looks like we're running out of time, guys. Guys, please stay tuned for more best practices. Tremendous job, Rick, on that. We will have more sharing in regards to our digital innovation web clinic series. If you have topics, we have a ton of topics, obviously within the different areas, within analytics, within digital, within marketing automation, and then really connecting the different areas and then really looking at the sub-journeys of the customer journey. Feel free to let us know any topics that you want to talk about, because it looks like we have a few that are coming in as well. Our next session is going to be in January. Also, we may send you a short survey. Not sure about that as of yet. We may send you a short survey. Really appreciate your insights and on how we can improve, and feedback, and how we can improve our web clinics moving forward. Enjoy the rest of the day, and happy holidays, okay? Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye now.
Thank you, everybody.